Welcome to Healthy Marriage, Fact and Fiction. We want to talk to you today about some ideas for having strong and healthy marriages. I'm Wally Goddard.
And I'm James Marshall.
We're both with the University of Arkansas Cooperative Extension Service. James, why don't you show us your map?
Okay. I have here a map of the state of Arkansas. Now, sometimes in marriage, we end up doing the wrong thing and expecting good results. For example, if we leave Little Rock and we want to go north to Conway, but instead we start driving south to Pine Bluff, no matter how far we drive south, we're never going to get to Conway. And so in marriage, when we do the wrong thing, even with good intentions, we won't get great results. The same's true with tools.
Yes. In fact, let's imagine that I took my slice of bread and I wanted to put a little butter on it. And what do you think? If I used the screwdriver, what kind of results would I have spreading butter? I think that probably wouldn't work very well. Likewise, when in marriage we're doing the wrong things, then doing lots more of it doesn't help. In fact, when we get the right tools, it makes a big difference. So we're going to talk about both fact and fiction when it comes to healthy marriage. For our first idea, let's talk about the popular belief that you can't love anybody until you love yourself. That loving yourself is job one, and really until you get that settled, you can't move on, you can't invest in a relationship, you can't be happy in marriage. The problem with that is it's a fiction. It's not true. The truer fact is that we can invest ourselves in life. We can find ways to be healthy and balanced. In fact, one of the resources we recommend is a book called Authentic Happiness. And Martin Seligman says that we can savor, enjoy, celebrate, appreciate. We can also find ways to use our strengths in our lives. We can get busy trying to find ways to make the world a better place. And when we do those three things, we're much more likely to be healthy and happy and balanced, and we can launch into loving and serving in a relationship even long before we've made full peace with ourselves. So maybe the fiction is that we have to love ourselves first. The fact is we don't have to wait. We can dive in, we can have a healthy, balanced life, and we can start investing in relationships.
The second marital fiction is that conflict will ruin a relationship. Now, if that were true, just about every marriage in the U.S. and throughout the world would be in trouble, because every marriage relationship has conflict. The truth is that conflict is normal and to be expected, and we ought not to be afraid of that. What happens, though, is that sometimes in marriage relationships, we try and resolve conflict in ways that really are problematic. Now, John Gottman has referred to those four ways as the four horsemen of the apocalypse. The first is criticism. He says sometimes when we're trying to resolve a conflict, we become critical of our spouse and the things that they've done and the person that they are. He also says we sometimes use contempt, and contempt really is problematic. He says this is the worst of the four horsemen. It's poisonous to the relationship because it conveys downright disgust and dislike for the person. The third of the four horsemen is defensiveness. Now, you can imagine, in a marriage relationship, if we feel like we've been criticized and somebody's treating us like we just don't matter, our natural reaction is to defend ourselves and even sometimes to return volley. And the fourth of those four horsemen is what he calls stonewalling or withdrawing. It's emotionally and sometimes even physically checking out of the relationship. The silent treatment is an example of this. So the second of the marital facts and fictions, the fiction is that conflict will ruin a relationship. The fact is that, no, conflict only ruins the relationship if we go about it wrong, if we go about it in unhealthy ways. Now, two of the best books to read concerning these matters are Why Marriages Succeed or Fail and the 10 Lessons.
So a third idea that's very important in marriage, sometimes the focus of all our energy has been trying to bring about positive change. So we communicate our concerns and each of us tries to become a better person. One of the interesting discoveries is that change may not be the key. It's not about each of us becoming new people. It's about learning to accept each other as well. Now, acceptance, that may sound a lot like submission, just giving in and saying, okay, whatever you want, whatever you are, that's okay. But submission isn't what we're talking about, nor are we talking about that state where we pressure each other and try to reform each other. Acceptance is a higher thing. Acceptance is where we really say, hey, I'm looking at more than just what the problems are. I'm looking at you as a whole person and this as a whole relationship. To quote some of the best scholars in this area, they say, When you genuinely accept your partner, you may achieve peace from the conflict and, paradoxically, change from your partner. When we accept the person, they're free to grow in some ways that they are not when they feel like they're under siege. So we recommend the book Reconcilable Differences, because it says, let's not just focus on change. Let's also accept each other. A very important idea. Let's turn to James now.
Another marital fiction is that in order for our marriages to be happy, we have to just learn to express our discontents in fair ways. And really that's a fiction, because one of the things that Harlan Miller has said is that often differences between a successful marriage and a mediocre one consist of leaving about 3 or 4 things a day unsaid. There's simply a lot of things in marriage relationships that we don't need to say because they may be hurtful. They may not be completely true, and it's really not going to do our marriage any good. Now, John Gottman talks about some healthy ways to go about resolving marital problems and working through difficult issues. One of the important ideas that he talks about is the idea of repair attempts. He even says that that's the happy couple's secret weapon. Now, a repair attempt is just any attempt, whether silly or otherwise, to repair the damage that's been done in a relationship. When we get angry and frustrated with one another, something as simple as saying, I'm sorry, or I love you, or going up to our spouse and giving them a hug is a repair attempt. And we have to be willing to not only extend, but accept repair attempts. Those really will go a long way in helping us overcome and resolve conflicts in marriage relationships. Now, another of these ideas that Gottman talks about is softening our startups. Sometimes when we talk about difficult issues, we just jump right in, and it's almost like we smack our spouse with a sledgehammer to get the point across. And that's not necessary. It's hurtful. We can talk about difficult issues in softer, kinder, and gentler ways. Another of the ideas that Gottman talks about is self-soothing and also being able to soothe our partner. What are some ways when we find ourselves frustrated that we can calm down before we talk about what we know is a difficult issue? And what are some ways that we can help our partner calm down before talking about that difficult issue? Now, all of these ideas are discussed in Gottman's book, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work.
I like what James said. One way Gottman talks about that is the idea that we listen past the edge in our partner's voice. Instead of reacting to the meta message, the harsh tone, instead of that, we react to the whole person. We say, they're trying to tell me something really important, and the reason they're doing it is because they want to improve the relationship. So we listen past the edge in their voice. But let's look at the 5th fiction. The 5th one might be that marriage has to be equitable. What we need to do is figure out how to swap positive with each other. You tell me something you'd like, and I'll tell you something I like, and you do this for me, then I'll do that for you. So we're exchanging these positive behaviors. And there's kind of a surprising discovery, which is that the exchange of positive behaviors characterizes unhappy marriages. Unhappy marriages. Unhappy couples are the ones who keep tabs on positives given and received. They do scorekeeping. Whereas happy couples are positive unconditionally. We have decided ahead of time that we're going to be positive. We're going to look for the good. We're going to celebrate and value that in our partner. And we look for the glory in our marital story. We keep our minds filled with those positive experiences. So it's not just, what have you done for me today? But it's coming with a predetermination to accept and value our partner. That's the best way to do it. And one of the books that talks about that is one by Blaine Fowers called Beyond the Myth of Marital Happiness. It's a powerful idea that we don't want to just swap positives, but we want to come to this with a full-fledged commitment. James?